How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore, and today we are working on an Acura TLX. We're going to be installing a kit on this mirror. It is 3 pieces. So we've got a piece that comes across here, we've got a piece across the top, we've got the mirror stock here, and then this piece as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces on this one. Let's go ahead and get started. I did try bulking this mirror a couple times to see if I could get it done in less pieces, at least this part here. You know, obviously these need to be separate pieces, but I was having to put quite a few seams in the material because it just wouldn't stretch enough to get all the coverage back here. So I found that the kit actually installs pretty well compared to trying to do this in one piece. Let me go ahead and show you. We'll get started on this. Okay, let's go ahead this time. I'm going to go ahead and start. There's a little clay bar left right in there in that seam. Don't want that getting underneath the film. All right, so last time I started over here. Let's go ahead and try starting on this side this time. Okay, so that looks like it's nicely lined up against this seam here. Let's go ahead and see if we can get a better angle on that. This is a separate piece here, so it's nicely lined up against that on this edge. So let's squeegee that part out. And then we're going to need to put a little bit of stretch on it to get rid of these fingers here. Okay. We do not want to overstretch because we've got to line up right here. So that actually looks pretty good. The bottom's lining up real nice. And let's put a tiny bit of well, let's just reposition this a little. It's not really much of a stretch. Okay, and then we'll get this piece in place. Alright, let's take all this part down and then we're going to work right here. Okay. So in order to get this down, what we're going to have to do is stretch down a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little tug on this and then squeegee this downwards. And then I'm going to let go with my finger once I get down close and push that down. Let's get a little bit of tack up here, and a little bit right here as well. Okay, that's staying down. Actually, let's check this top edge. We're going to be butting up a piece against this, so we want this top edge to be stuck down really well. Yeah, and it's still kind of loose on there. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and squeegee this out now. Okay, we'll go over this corner right there. All right, let's go ahead and dry this off. Okay, I want to let that dry just a little bit because we are going to be bumping a piece of material into that edge. So let's go ahead and put on these other two pieces and then we'll get back up to All right, I'm going to go ahead and shoot a little bit of tack solution there underneath that finger, and then that should allow us to tack this edge down, or it's not an edge, but this rounded part down, and then we can work our way away from that. Okay. All right, that looks like it's all staying down pretty good. Let's move on to this piece. All right, so this does wrap over the top. So go ahead and get the face down there, and then we'll take it up over this top. And then we're going to need to stretch this a little bit to get it to line up. That'll also help this line up here. And then we'll get the face squeeged out. Take that all the way down. And then up over the top here. We're going to need some tack in there too on these edges. Oh, hit this piece a little bit down here. All right, let's be a little bit more careful of that. Don't want to be destroying my completed work. Okay, go ahead and go over this again. Now that we've got the tack in there. All right, let's dry these edges out. Okay. That looks like it's all staying down pretty good. We've got a couple little fingers right here. We're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and try and bump those real quick and see if they'll just stay down now. Otherwise, those are gonna go down real easy with a little bit of heat when I'm heat sealing the edges. Okay, let's go ahead and get the top part on. So this one, we're gonna have a lot of seaming to do all the way around and some decent stretching as well. Okay, so we've got a seam coming up this way and a seam obviously across the front of this. Let's see what we can do about kind of starting right here in the corner and then working our way up to this top here. Okay. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and tack that down. And then let's start our way across here. So definitely on a black vehicle, you really want to work pretty much as quickly as you can across this with as little maneuvering the film around as possible. The more you're touching the material where you're trying to stick it down, the more kind of air, the more distortions you're going to leave and the more air you're going to leave underneath the material. I don't know exactly how to explain that. We'll take a look at the other side. I did leave a little bit on that side. Well, and we'll see if I leave any on this side. Okay. Now that's actually coming out really clean. So there might be a little bit right here, and that's basically just a little distortion in the adhesive, and it kind of leaves a little bit of silvering underneath it, and then we'll go ahead and take care of that at the end. This is still pushed down. We've got a little finger coming up, so let's take care of that real quick before we put the stretch on it to make our way back here. Okay, I pushed a little bit of air through there, so it did leave some silvering. Let's go ahead and get a little slip back in there. Let's see if we can get this tacked back down. Okay, let's go ahead and see if we can get this stretched into place now. Okay, I'm gonna let that pop up. I'm gonna put a little bit of tack underneath there, and then we're gonna work our way back to my finger, like so. All right, that looks fantastic. Just double check, make sure that you got all of the slip out of there. Go ahead and wipe this down and see if we can see any of that silvering at all in this one. Got a little finger popping up here. So we're going to go ahead and push this down again and then follow it up with the towel, and that should dry that edge out and help it stay down. Okay, what's this right here? Is that a little bit of water left behind? Yeah, it might have been. Okay, it's still got a little white thing right there, if you can see that. We've got a tiny bit of silvering right here, and that's basically what happens when you stretch the material as it starts to tack a little bit, but you're stretching it over the paint. Here's some right here, a little bit of silvering. Now in a situation like this mirror, this actually came out really well. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll show you how to clean that up. We are going to need to let it completely dry first, and then we will come back and touch these up and make them disappear. All right, let's go ahead and clean up this silvering right here. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of heat on that. And there's a couple techniques you can use for this, and a couple tools. I mean, a couple tools, not really a couple techniques. So any of these are going to work really well for pushing this type of thing out. First, what I'm going to do is put some heat on it, and I'm going to try just going over it with my finger, kind of, you know, in some circular motions, or just straight across it, and I'll kind of just switch my direction, and that'll really help hide it. If you can see that the silvering is basically gone, you are going to have a little bit of ripples there, very minor, where the adhesive was distorted, and that's why it left the silvering. But remember, this is not paint perfection, this is paint protection, and you know, we're not going for perfect, but we are going, I always tell my customers, we're going for damn good. So, I mean, obviously if it's excessive, then you take it off and you put another piece on. So, all right, so if I kind of run my finger over that and I don't still like how it's turning out, I'm going to put a little bit more heat on it, and I'm just going to go kind of in a circular motion with something like this, something a little bit stiffer, like this bone stick here. And you just want to be real gentle with it. You can add a little bit more pressure if necessary, but less. Start with less and see how that works out, because you can bunch the material up with this tool. All right, and I am hanging over the edge here, so I'm going to have to trim that off. Let's do a little trimming here. Let's also put a little bit of heat on this seam. Let's put a little bit of heat on this seam, and I'm just going to heat it up a bit. And then I'm going to run my finger across it like this, back and forth. And then also you can take a tool like the bone stick here and go across it. This isn't really necessary on this one. My finger got it plenty good enough. And all right, well, I appreciate you taking a look at this video. If you found anything useful or helpful, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.